Well, the first overdose in town happened quite a few years ago now, but it was on New Year's Eve. I was working per diem shift at my fire department in Harrisville, and we got a call for an overdose on a local road. And actually it was a friend who graduated from high school with me. He was, well, I should say 2 years older than me. But you have to try to revive him, and we were unsuccessful in that. That was like the first, and after that we saw like 7 overdoses in a row in town. So that really was a trigger for me and the start of it all.
It's always the bad ones that stick in your mind. It's always the ones where, you know, you've got to tell a family member, you know, you have to follow to the hospital and go into the side room that they have that, you know, now I realize what that side room is for. You know, we've been to the hospital once the first time and the doctor says, you just take the family member in there, and, you know, I walk out and the doctor says, yeah, this is where we put the family when we have to tell them the bad news. So you kind of know that when you have to go to the hospital to follow an overdose victim and they have the family in that room, you know what's going on, and we try and do our best to assist and help the family, because this is the worst thing that, you know, is ever happened to them and probably going to happen to them. The good ones, you got the good ones, but those ones don't. For some reason, the good ones don't stay in your head. It's always the bad ones.
I mean, I think the biggest thing for me is when I go into the classrooms and I'm doing presentations, and it's not just the kids that all of a sudden are getting the information, but teachers are coming to me and saying, oh, I never knew that, or thanks so much, I just learned something today. You know, that I think is the rewarding part of the job, and the part of the job that stands out for me is that it's not just the kids that are gaining from this program, it's also the teachers and the adults in their lives.
I don't remember how old the kid was. He was probably in his early 20s, but the call came in as an alcohol, basically poisoning. And when I got to the scene with a couple of other officers, the subject was blue. He was in severe respiratory distress, respiratory failure, just about. And it became apparent to me that he hadn't even consumed any alcohol. I didn't even smell any alcohol. And you know, his respiratory depression just pretty much immediately led me to believe that he was having an opioid overdose. I directed some of the officers on scene to set up some Narcan, and we began to administer Narcan to him. He had very agonal breathing, very intermittent agonal breathing, and it took a while for him to start coming back to. He began to come to a little bit, but really more so the hospital. But the EMS arrived and kind of, they took over for us. But he did end up making it.
There was an overdose death here in Burrillville of a young boy. I say young, he was in his mid-20s, that had played youth soccer with my son. They were the same age. His dad coached my son and his son, and you know, our son grew up in a different community, and this boy here, Burrillville resident, good kid, good family, became addicted and lost his life as a result of his addiction. You know, having those conversations in the aftermath of that young boy's death with his parents, who I knew, whose father had coached my son, that really hit home. And that was, you know, that's just one story. For that story that I have, there are literally dozens and dozens of stories just like that within this community.